I'd landed almost directly on a pile of bones. During the late summer of 1991, I was out doing some survey work around 20 miles north of a little town called Fuerte Esperanza. After crossing a long and desolate patch of flat scrubland, I reached a section of forest composed of algarrobo and pink trumpet trees. The algarrobo are particularly favorites of illegal loggers, so I wanted to make sure that this forest was untouched by their hands. Now, I spent around an hour walking around, making notes and marking the area on my map, and then once I was happy that the forest was in good condition, I started making my way back towards where I'd left my ATV. Gran Chaco is a very wild place, meaning many of the forests do not have any well-defined trails or paths to walk on. Even if they did, the nature of my work means I have to walk places that are infrequently traveled, so sometimes I lose my footing among the many roots and fallen branches. And this trip was no different. Most of the time I merely stumble when catching my foot on something, but on this occasion, I caught my foot immediately after hopping over a thick branch which had fallen among some knee-high grass. I was totally unprepared for the second impediment and completely off my balance, so after my foot caught on, I was sent tumbling into the grass in front of me with a very loud crunch. Notice how I described it as a crunch and not a thud because I didn't fall directly into the dirt and grass. Something broke my fall. Something hard but kind of brittle. I didn't check to see what it was at first because my priority was to inspect the fresh grazes on my forearms and elbows. But then after picking myself up, I saw that I hadn't landed on a pile of fallen branches. I'd landed almost directly on a pile of bones. Since jaguars are very active in Gran Chaco, I initially thought that the bones must have belonged to a jaguar kill, perhaps a deer or some type of pig. But upon further inspection, I found that they were too large to be a pig of any kind, and too much like a monkey to be a deer. The forests are home to howler monkeys too, so when I saw bones that looked remarkably like those of a human hand, I thought they belonged to some dead monkey. But then I saw the skull, and there was no mistaking things anymore. I had landed on a human skeleton, one that was filthy and moss-eaten, and when I realized that, a powerful feeling of mortal dread came over me. I picked myself up and crossed myself before brushing myself off. Unfortunately, that wasn't the first time that I'd found a human body hidden among the wilds of Gran Chaco. But it was the first that I'd found spontaneously, as in not on a search, and the first that I'd found in such a terrible state of decomposition.